Good evening, friends. Welcome back to my channel. In my previous small video, short video, I actually talked about, starting to do some reading on my dad's book. I mentioned one of the chapters that, that really made me sad, but that's not what I'm gonna read about. So I got some comments that they wanna just learn more about the book, that you guys want me to talk about, like a page by page kind of. So I just want to introduce myself again. If you're new here, my name is Maria. I'm an avid blogger. I have social media platforms. I think it's because I like to share. Good evening, friends. Welcome back to my channel. In my previous small video, short video, I actually talked about, starting to do some reading on my dad's book. I mentioned one of the chapters that, that really made me sad, but that's not what I'm gonna read about. So I got some comments that they wanna just learn more about the book, that you guys want me to talk about, like a page by page kind of. So I just want to introduce myself again. If you're new here, my name is Maria. I'm an avid blogger. I have social media platforms. I think it's because I like to share some significant things or some stuff about my life, because I like to connect and make friends. Not necessarily, like do the BFF thing, but something that we can kind of share with each other, which is the love of reading, the love of law, love of philosophy, and just, little life things. So I had featured my book in my social media platforms the first year it was published. So me and my dad and I decided that we can actually do a new edition of the book. He published with a very small publishing company in the Philippines. It's called the National Bookstore, but it's kind of like disappointing the way they publish books for authors. It doesn't necessarily go, now it's called viral. It doesn't get the exposure that it needs. They just, publish 100, 200 copies and they display it in the bookstore. They don't give any rights to any other bookstore to sell it. So I think that's a very kind of like sad way to scam actual like authors in the Philippines. I think it's a very weird way of like just making money out of someone's work, right? So my dad and I talked about publishing a new edition. The edition would have been 2018, but it had to, we fast forwarded it to 2019 edition because he was able to collect at least 440 cases that were tried by the Supreme Court between 1908 and 2019. And not surprisingly, cases from 1908 are still relevant and used by the current Supreme Court, with some even with modifications in the revised Penal Code of the Philippines. So I will show you the book again. This is the cover of the book. It's the side. My dad and I designed it together, and when you open the book, it has that as well. I'm gonna turn the pages lying down, and I'll put a clip. So this is my favorite page of the book. My dad actually dedicated it to me, and when I read a draft of this dedication, it actually made me cry. Made me really want to pursue law. So I am really, doing my best to, what do you call that? Not to position myself, but to kind of like get that passion even like back, like that strong passion about the law even more. Although my passion was to be a lawyer in the Philippines. So acknowledgements by Attorney Diogenes Nambayan Ahelion. Of the sacrifices of my parents, Deogracias Sr. and Constancia Nambayan, to whom I owe not only my humble existence, but my upbringing, and in molding me into what I am today, instilling in me the value of education, hard work, and devotion to my job. Also, of the lessons I learned from my first law partner, my brother, the erstwhile Circuit Municipal Trial Judge, Deogracias Jr., whose early demise foiled our earlier joint efforts to write our first book in our chosen field. Special thanks to my loving and youngest sibling, Deorino Sr., for the goodwill and the invaluable gifts of law books and horn books he brought me home every time he returns from a visit to his scions in Lemoore, California, USA. Materials from said books are cited in this work. Thank you for being here. The continuous prodding and moral support of my only daughter that prompted me to finish this work is foremost appreciated. I cannot fail to recognize the inspirations reaching me from halfway across the grove, from Sunshine, Raymond, and Mia, affectionately requited by the hugs and kisses generously shared by my dear Alicia Gwen, Diana Jade, and Gio Ahelion. The lessons I learned from and shared by my most valued friends and mentors, the erstwhile heads of the Calabarzon Regional Office of the National Police Commission, and each played an important role in the completion of this book in my earlier works. To all of them, my profound gratitude. So next page is where my dad had mentioned a quote, like had quoted Selden from the Dictionary of Thoughts. Ignorance of the law excuses no man. Not that all men know the law, but because it is an excuse every man will plead, and no man can tell how to confute them. So I love this quote as well. This has always been cited at the start of every class, every law class I ever took in my law school. My law school, by the way, is the San Beda College of Law. San Beda College is once was, I think it still is, kind of like an all-male university for the pre-law. So Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Sciences, they're all just like for guys, and that's never been questioned in the Philippines. In the Philippines, the issue right now is like women are still having that power struggle with men. If you're a lady, unless you're supported by the higher authority in any company, you're kind of on the sidelines. So no matter how talented or how smart you are, no matter what you contribute to the company, if you are not favored by the higher men in the company, it's a really challenging world, especially in the corporate world. I will tackle that some more in a different video, because like there's a lot of kind of like ideologies in the Philippines that will always level down a woman, and will always think of a man as a higher species. I blame it on Catholicism. So it's just how we were taught or we were brought up. I learned more about it in depth when my grandma was talking to me about her childhood experience trying to get good education. So in the Philippines, girls are allowed to go to elementary school to graduate in grade 6. After grade 6, it is up to the dad to allow that girl to go into high school. So not very many girls actually got to high school, but my grandma had the most amazing brothers. They know how smart she is, and so they supported her going to high school with the despite the what her dad said, what their dad like contradicted or opposed her going to high school. She managed to get a scholarship, so they don't have to pay for anything. So when I say scholarship and does not have to pay for anything, this applies even to public schools. You have to pay a fee or something to be in public school. Private schools are, when we say private school, they're more the Catholic schools, or like international schools. There's a big difference with private Catholic schools and private international schools. International schools are schools from the US. I think it's only the US who have branches in the Philippines for private schools, and only the families of politicians, very wealthy celebrities get to go there. So I won't even go there because it's a lot of red tape, a lot of under the table, a lot of corruption in that world. So I don't want to be in that. I don't want to mention anything about that world. So anyway, she graduated valedictorian, I believe, like in the top 3. I'm pretty sure she was valedictorian in high school. So she got scholarship and maintained her scholarship throughout her college days, like her university years, and she took education. After that, she applied as a teacher. She was like, I think it was getting better for educated women now, but as a woman back then, you are hired as a teacher because they said it's a woman's job. Some men become teachers, but in a very short time, they become principals or guidance counselors, leaders of the school, heads of the schools, like whatever, right? So my grandma worked really, really hard. She was very well known and well liked by students and teachers alike, and she applied as a principal for an elementary school where I went. So let's continue. Case number 1. My dad narrated the facts in a very short summary. So let's see how well you do. Like, you can answer on your own. Alberto, a detention prisoner, and his fellow detainees were then inside their cell when their jail guard, Special Police Officer Juan Brasinio, who was then drunk, manhandled them and suddenly drew his service firearm and fired 3 successive shots. The first shot was directed upwards, the second shot was directed downwards, and the third was aimed at and hit and killed Alberto, the prisoner. So the question is, what is the crime committed by the officer? A. Murder. B. reckless imprudence resulting in homicide, C, homicide, or D, no criminal liability. So I'll let you know the answer with the explanation why that is the choice answer. So my dad had also included in the last pages, not in the last pages, in the end of the chapters, why, like a little bit of the review materials. So part of his review materials, he has a topic called Participes Criminis. A Participes Criminis, which is sometimes referred to as Particeps Criminis, are the participants in a crime. They are the persons who share or cooperate in the commission of an offense. There are only two participes criminis or participants in a felony. That is A, principals, and 2, accomplices. Principals are divided into 3 categories. A, the principal by direct participation. B, the principal by inducement. And C, the principal by indispensable cooperation. On the other hand, you have 2 classes of accomplices. A, accessory before the fact, also called a accomplice or an encubridor, and B, accessory after the fact. So you can tell from the definition of the accomplices in which part of the crime were they a participant of or an accomplice, right? Okay, so I know it's a very short case reading that I have, but in my next video we're gonna do at least 2 because it's it's very enjoyable to learn about things, because my dad used cases, not used words for cases that are easily understandable. It's like for layman, you know, layman terms, which means you don't have to be a lawyer to understand it, right? So the answer actually to the case of Alberto the prisoner is A, murder. And why? The suddenness and mode of attack adopted by Special Police Officer Juan Bersinio placed not only the victim but also his co-detainees in such a situation where it was not possible for them to resist the attack or defend themselves. Trickery is therefore present, which qualifies the killing to murder. Trickery is the qualifier for murder, because, like, you know, when you trick someone, you actually think about it, you think of tricking them, and you know that it's going to hurt the other person, right? So even frontal attack can be trickerous when unexpected and the unarmed victim is in no position to repel the attack to avoid it. So the situation here is that the police officer had a gun, was drunk, which can aggravate his behavior, and, you know, kind of blurs his awareness and rational thinking. And the victims were detainees who in no way, shape, or form have in their possession any firearm or anything to defend themselves against the attack by the officer. So that is why it is classified as a murder. Okay, so there you have it for the first chapter that I just read, and all the other, like, the long chats and talk that I've been doing. I hope you join me again for another case to discuss. Please comment down below what your answer would be if you got presented with this kind of case. So thank you. It's Maria. And I hope you enjoyed the first case in my dad's book. See you in the next video. Please like and subscribe.